Hey guys, this is Al. I just got back from the All British and European Car Show. It was a pretty nice event, a lot smaller than it usually is. Over at White Rock Lake in Dallas. I think the problem was that they moved the location at the last moment and a lot of people just didn't want to show up. But it was a good event all in all. So I wanted to give you a quick update on my 94 Jag. So this has been sitting in the back of the shop in the storage area, which is, you know, basically a dirt floor and very poorly lit for maybe about a year since I bled the brakes. And I haven't really driven it until I pulled it out last week when I had to get the 6.9 from the front of the shop over to the back of the shop into that storage area, and I had to move some cars out of the way. So while I did that, I thought I'd give it some fresh gas, and then I took it for a spin, and I was truly amazed at how well this thing runs. And it made me, you know, regret not driving it because, you know, I've owned this thing since November 2013, so almost 10 years. And aside from the brake issue, you know, it's always run, it's always started until the fuel pumps failed, and the fuel pumps failed because it's just been sitting so long. So let me just turn it around. I'll do a quick walk around, and I'm going to take it for a shakedown cruise. And you know, we'll just do a quick recap on it. Yeah, it's a 94 XJS V12 convertible, and you know, I bought it about 10 years ago. Bodywork was in pretty good shape. The car's in Michigan. It has a little bit of scabby rust in certain areas, you know, mainly on things like the control arms underneath, because it has lived in Michigan, you know what it's like. But, you know, overall it's been a pretty good car. Since I've owned it, it's developed problems just while it's sitting. You know, the fuel pump had to be replaced twice, or the fuel pumps. The blower motor now consistently runs, which is a new thing. There's a crack that developed in the back bumper, which I guess was a previous repair that failed, so I need to get that either fixed or replaced. The fog light lens is broken, which isn't really a big problem. The tyres are starting to dry rot pretty badly, so this tyre was completely flat, and when I aired it up, it didn't look too healthy. There was a lot of cracks in it. The DOT dates for these tyres is from 2003, so, you know, in my opinion, they're probably due for replacement. But we're going to take it for a shakedown cruise, and we're going to ignore all of that because none of it matters. You know, I'm in Denison. The kid's only a phone call away. If the worst comes to the worst, you know, I'll just give him a call, or I'll walk back over here, grab a jack and some tools, and you know, get it fixed. You'd also know that I also bought a 96 6-cylinder parts car. It had an engine fire in the front, so that's going to donate a lot of parts. So you know, I have a caliper that pulls very hard. This caliper is completely non-functional on the front brakes, and it pulls very hard to the right as a result. So that caliper is going to get donated. I may reuse the rear bumper and obviously the soft top, because the soft top on this car is completely shredded. I'm definitely going to replace the seats, because the seats are in great shape in that car and in terrible shape in this car. You know, the interior is a little bit worse for wear, probably because the soft top was ripped, and you know, when that happens, the interior gets weathered. The soft top doesn't work, the electric hydraulic bits for it, but I could lower it manually, and that's what I did this time. But you know, all of that said, none of it's important, because I do have the parts car. It's got a lot of usable parts. It had an engine fire, but it was a 6-cylinder car, so that's really not important. Things like this discolored headlight, the blower motor, the bumpers, the front end, the rear end, all could be swappable. I'm actually thinking about putting the rear end with the outboard discs into my XJ12C, and I'll probably do that. I'd especially do that if I decide to do a 5-speed swap, and I'm still kicking that idea around. So anyway, let me mount the camera, and then we'll go for a quick spin, and then you can tell me what you think. So I had these seats partially unbolted. I couldn't get the back bolts off because the electric seats wouldn't come forward enough. Otherwise I would have already swapped the seats over. So that's something I need to take care of. starts right up real nice. The radio stopped working, and all of a sudden it now works again, so that's great. I have the same problem with my 94 XJ12, and the only difference between what I did there and what I did here is I disconnect the battery for a day, a couple of days or so, and then all of a sudden it stopped working. So I may try that on the other car as well. So you learn something new every single time. And it is toasty in this car because the blower motor is blowing hot all the time, so the heater valve is stuck. I'm not sure if that's... So I'm hearing a little bit of a knock from the front suspension, which I guess is maybe a shock mount that's knocking around. So I may swap the shocks out, basic. Thing pulls like a train. I'm doing 60 miles an hour, turning about 2,500 RPM. The back end is a little bit squirty, which I know is the rear bushing. We're about to take it on the highway. Alright guys, what do you think? I mean, from my perspective, obviously the front caliper on this side is not functional, so it pulls, and because the rear trailing arms, I think that's what they're called, I'm not sure what they're called, but because the bushings are worn, it sometimes is a little bit squirty, but it drives great. There's a smell of gas which has been there since we took the fuel tank out, kind of out, so I've got to figure out what's going on over there. Maybe one of the lines isn't connected properly. But all in all, I mean, it runs great. Going on the highway, it wasn't running hot. I had great oil pressure. The battery light is always on, which I'd be interested to know if you guys know why. Because my voltmeter is reading correctly. It's reading above 13 volts, but I still have a battery light that's constantly running. Idle silky smooth, it revs up the range, it's got plenty of performance. You know, I haven't driven this car in 10 years. Like, this is the most amount of driving that I've done in the last 2 days, 3 days that I've done on this car. Otherwise I've hardly ever driven this car. So you know, I'm a little bit disappointed with myself because it's such a good car to drive, but we'll get through it, we'll figure it all out. Anyway, that's it from me, guys. Thanks very much. I'm going to go back in and I'm going to do the job that I really don't want to do, which is replace the subframe mounts and the engine mounts on that 300 SEL 4.5. But I may give you an update a little bit later on if I get that job done. Alright guys, thanks very much. Talk to you later. Bye bye.